So in this section, we're finally getting into building our backend, and we're going to do that using Node.js and Express.js and create our API. So first, let's start off by creating the server using Express.js. So if you head over to express.js.com, you can view all the documentation on how to get started here. This is the command to actually install it. And under API reference, you can view all the steps to actually get started. First, let's head over to nodejs.org and click Guides, Getting Started. And this is an example on how to set up your server. So you can just copy this and we'll add this to our server. So over in your project, you want to create a new folder and we'll call this folder dev server. And then inside a dev server, create a file called index.js and paste that snippet from before. And then you want to open a new terminal window and make sure you're in the root directory. And you can run that server by executing node dev server / index.js. And then you'll see there that the server's running on port 3000 of your localhost. So if you copy that and just go to it in your browser, you'll see you get that string back, the hello world. That's how simple it is to start a server using Node.js. So now let's do it the Express.js way. So you want to click Getting Started, Hello World, and then you can just copy this snippet, which is about half its size as the Node way. So over back in the file, you want to replace everything. So let's make sure this works. So you have to stop the server and start it again. And the app is running now. And you want to just refresh and make sure this works. And there you go. So at the top, you bring in the Express package and then you instantiate a new Express app. And then you create a route, a get route, that just returns a string of hello world. And then you just say listening on port 3000 and that'll just start the server. And so anytime you make a request to // it's just going to return that string. So now another thing I want to show you is go over here and replace this example with anything else and then hit save. And you'll notice it doesn't change here in the console log of the terminal. You actually have to restart your server in order to get that change. And as you're developing, that's going to be really tedious to have to keep restarting your server. So we can use a package for that. So do npm install nodemon-g for global. And so what nodemon will do is it'll basically restart the server automatically for you every time you have changes to any of the files. So now I'll run the command nodemon dev server / index.js and it'll do the same thing. It'll start the server. Now let's go back and make a change. We'll just go back to what it was and hit save. And you'll see it automatically restarts. It knows that you changed that file. And so that just makes it much more convenient. You could also manually restart it with rs. Now, one thing I like to do when I develop using Node.js is I like to use the import statements instead of require. So like this, you would import express. And that's just how we do it in Vue.js as well. But you see that it doesn't support that and you'll get this error here. And so let's grab a tool that will allow us to do that. So what you want to do is head over to babbeljs.io and then you want to head over to docs and you want to run this command right here in the shell, the npm install command. That's going to install the Babel CLI and the environment preset. So then just paste that into your terminal and that's going to allow us to compile the ES6. So then you want to go over and create this file here and it's going to have that preset. So let's copy that. And then in the dev server directory, you want to create a new file and it has to be exactly named like this, .babelrc. And then just paste that preset in there, which we're installing right now. And then going back, you'll see this is the command here to compile everything. So just copy that command. And then you want to go over to your package.json file. And then under scripts, let's create a new one. And then I'll just call the script dev and paste that in there. Now you don't need to specify the node modules bin because the script will automatically pull from there. So you can just say Babel, dev server, out directory, and then we'll create a folder called prod server. So go ahead and change source to dev server because that's where we're compiling from. And then for lib, instead of lib, we'll name it prod server. So we're basically taking everything that's in dev server and we're going to output it in prod server, but in a way that will actually run in Node.js. So now you can npm run dev, and then it's going to list all the files that it compiled. And you see there it created the directory and the file. So now if you go into your server file, you'll see the same files that are in dev server, but a different version. And so now you can actually use the import statement and it'll take care of doing the conversion for you. All right, so now head back to the terminal and let's run the server again. But this time you want to make sure you go into prod server instead of dev server. Now this isn't something you have to do when working with Node.js, but I just find it easier when I can use the same syntax that we've been using in Vue.js. Now let's go back to the index file and change something and then hit save on that. And you'll notice that it didn't restart the server, and that's because we're running out of prod server now, but we're modifying the dev server. So open a new terminal window and you want to run npm run dev, and that will actually watch the directory and recompile it. All right, and there you go, we have our file converted. So now we should be able to go back and see that change reflected. Now we don't want to have to run that every time we make a change to the file. So we can add something to the script to do it for us. So back over in the package.json, you can just add -- watch to this. And so this will continuously run, and every time you change a file, it'll recompile everything. So there you get the initial compile, and then go back into your index.js file and change something. And then once you hit save, go back to your terminal and you'll see that it recompiled for a second time. And so that's just going to continue running and you'll see the changes reflected. Next, I want to go back over to my package.json file and make sure that you include this compile command, this babel command here, in your production build, which is the build script. So you want to just copy this entire script without the watch part because you're not going to watch it during your build. And then just paste it in there and add the 2 and signs. And what that'll do is it'll run one command after the other. Now, eventually it's going to get tiresome to have 3 terminal windows up, one for your server, one for your Babel, and then one for your client. So one good thing that you can do is create a script that just runs all 3. So I'll call this script concurrently. And then before I create the script, let's go ahead and install the package. And you can actually go ahead and close all the terminal windows as well. Then you want to run npm install concurrently save dev. And so now let's go ahead and create the script. And you can just say concurrently / and then double quotes and then the command that you want to run, which is the one from before. Then you end that with another / and quotes, and then you just do it again for another command that you want to run. So / quotation, and we'll run the server here, and then close that with a quotation, and then do another one / quotation npm run serve. And so what these 3 commands will do is, one, it'll compile all of our files when they're changed, then it'll run the server, then it'll run the Vue.js client. So all 3 of these will be running at the same time in one terminal window. Again, this is optional. If you want to have 3 windows open, that's fine. And then I'll just delete this previous script and just use dev for this script. And so basically this will be the script that you run whenever you want to develop. Then let's test it with npm run dev. Now, once you finish running all 3 scripts, you want to go over to your Vue.js app and change something just to make sure that this is running properly. And you should see it recompile all of your Vue.js files now.